But you're the same.
You're the same.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, guys, you don't got to do this. Please, I'm begging you to stop.
You could do this with one small row for your kids for breakfast, genuinely, and it makes the morning a lot more fun.
She wants us to put together a fruit crudité board for our children in the morning. Now, look, Maureen.
I can't.
Look at this.
I can't.
All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
No! No! I refuse! I'm sick of it!
It was supposed to be her redemption arc, a soft reboot for the Duchess of Sussex. Cozy, wholesome, stripped down. Just Meghan, a wooden spoon, and a message. I'm just like you. But now, that fantasy has gone up in smoke.
Zoom in here and it says, with the compliments of Her Royal Highness.
Multiple sources claim Netflix has officially shelved or quietly canceled Meghan Markle's highly anticipated lifestyle cooking show, despite the platform reportedly investing up to $20 million in its development.
You know, Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind. I am. I'm better than okay. How are you?
That smile's a little bit over the top. And that single shoulder shrug she has, that usually indicates that person isn't very confident with their answer or their statement.
No announcement, no apology, not even a farewell Instagram post, just silence. And behind that silence, alleged chaos. Insiders say the decision caught Meghan completely off guard. She believed this show, billed as a warm blend of food, family, and personal storytelling, would reshape her public image after the Spotify exit and endless accusations of inauthenticity. Instead, it's allegedly been pulled midstream, leaving her team in panic mode, and Meghan herself, according to one source, devastated, blindsided, and furious. Some are even calling it a full-blown meltdown behind the scenes.
With the compliments of HRH, which is Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex.
You made homemade strawberry jam. It's kind of like a doctor when you keep referring to them as doctor, like, call me Susan. You know, like, I would never refer to myself as Her Royal Highness.
And the timing? Brutal. Netflix was supposed to be her last solid foothold in the industry after a string of optics disasters. The docuseries Backlash, the awkward podcast, the lifestyle brand drama. This cooking show was pitched as the safe bet, relatable, low stakes, brand friendly. But if this project couldn't make it past internal reviews, the implications are staggering. No official footage has been released. No trailer, just a faint trail of staged interviews, hyper-curated visuals, and vague promises that never materialized.
By the way, I love your Luke.
Sorry, what's that?
Your Luke. You look amazing. Your Luke.
My Luke. She likes my Luke.
Which now has people asking, was there ever a real show in the works? Or was this just another PR fantasy cooked up to stay relevant? Either way, the Duchess's brand just took a direct hit. And if early reports are true, Meghan's Netflix dream is no longer simmering on the stove. It's been taken off the heat entirely. So what went wrong? According to multiple sources close to the production, Netflix didn't just lose interest, they lost faith. The show, initially pitched as a raw and relatable glimpse into Meghan's home life, reportedly fell apart the moment cameras started rolling. Executives who previewed early footage allegedly called it visually stunning, but emotionally hollow.
Do you think you'll be married forever?
Yes.
I have a letter.
He's also a fox. If you haven't noticed, my husband's very, very handsome. But his heart is even more beautiful.
Whoops, something's up here. See that little shoulder shrug when she said yes?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Did you hear how high her voice was when she said yes?
Yes.
When we're stressed, our larynx closes up a little bit and our voice tone gets a little bit higher. That's why the pitch of the yes is so high.
Yes.
One insider went even further, describing it as a perfume ad with cupcakes. The verdict? Too fake, too polished, too Meghan. From the beginning, this wasn't your average kitchen show. Meghan's version of home cooking reportedly involved a team of stylists just off camera, custom aprons monogrammed with her Duchess branding, and lighting setups so flattering it looked like she was filming a beauty campaign, not baking muffins. One source said every ingredient was pre-styled, every camera angle tested, every garnish approved, and that nothing nothing, absolutely nothing, was spontaneous. It wasn't just the look that raised eyebrows. Netflix allegedly expected something grounded. Kids running through the frame, Harry popping in for a taste test, a few burnt cookies, maybe even a real mess.
And here's everything and every moment that I wanted to tell you how much I love you and like how proud I am of you. And of all things, it's making me emotional.
And she also is pretending that she's crying. There isn't a tear in sight. It's an actor's trick.
Now make yourself cry. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. You're like, Meghan, 1 tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
Instead, what they got was a hyper-controlled environment where even the so-called unscripted lines had been pre-rehearsed. Meghan was described as being fixated on optics, reportedly demanding retakes if her hair didn't fall just right or if her voice didn't sound soft enough in playback. And when the test audiences reacted, they didn't relate. They recoiled. What was supposed to feel personal ended up feeling painfully staged. Worse, it reinforced the very perception Meghan was trying to outrun, that she's incapable of being real. The very thing Netflix hoped to use to soften her image had done the opposite. And in a post-Spotify, post-backlash media climate, that kind of flop isn't just embarrassing, it's expensive. Which might explain why Netflix, quietly and without ceremony, is now pulling the plug. Let's be honest, this cooking show was never about the food. From the moment it was announced, it was clear that Meghan's project wasn't aiming for the messiness of a real home kitchen. There were no flour-covered toddlers, no overcooked casseroles, no chaotic dinner prep with barking dogs and mismatched bowls.
I just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim, when there's nothing to be a victim about, and there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live.
This was always going to be Meghan Markle's vision of relatable, stylized, serene, and suspiciously spotless. According to production insiders, the aesthetic was locked down before the recipes. Think beige linens, hand-thrown ceramic dishes, pastel color palettes, and herb bundles hanging from curated racks. Even the chopping boards were custom designed to match the vibe. One person who reportedly worked on the shoot joked that the food was there to serve the lighting, not the other way around. It looked like Pinterest, scripted like a commercial, and felt like a fashion shoot that happened to involve a measuring cup. And then there was Meghan herself. Sources say her on-screen presence was anything but relaxed. She wanted to look maternal, but not be messy, one crew member recalled. It was like watching someone perform motherhood and domesticity, not actually live it. Every moment was curated, every laugh perfectly timed, every interaction with Harry or the kids carefully framed to feel spontaneous, but only after multiple takes. Even her attempts at intimacy allegedly felt rehearsed.
She decided she didn't want to be a real princess because to be a real princess involves duty and responsibility, caring about other people. And so she just wanted to be a pretend princess in Hollywood, so she split her husband off from his royal family and then inked $1 zillion deal with a bunch of media companies, and then all her projects flopped.
One episode outline included her reading handwritten notes about her grandmother's recipe, but when she started filming, she allegedly asked for the handwriting to be rewritten in a more photogenic script. Another scene was supposed to show Meghan cooking a quick breakfast with Archie. Instead, it was replaced by a morning ritual of arranging dried flowers and pouring oat milk into artisanal mugs. It wasn't a cooking show. It was a lifestyle ad campaign. And Netflix, already reeling from underwhelming Sussex content and audience fatigue, apparently decided they couldn't sell another fantasy dressed up as authenticity. Behind the scenes, sources claim Meghan didn't just take the cancellation hard, she took it personally. After all, this wasn't just another project. This was supposed to be the one. The soft-focused, bare-faced, camera-ready return to public favor. A chance to shake off the difficult Duchess reputation and become something else entirely. Warm, grounded, likable. But instead of a comeback, she's allegedly been left picking up the pieces of a production that never connected and a message that never landed. According to one source with ties to the production, Meghan's reaction was emotional and unfiltered when the decision came down from Netflix.
When I was reviewing her website in real time, doing my video, it said coming soon. But then, like 5 minutes later, we see that she put sold out.
She thought this would be the reset moment, the project that silenced the cynics. She didn't expect them to pull the plug. Not this quietly, not without a fight. Another insider claimed there was visible shock from her camp, with one advisor reportedly trying to spin it as a pause rather than a full cancellation. But internally, most seemed to agree. This wasn't a delay. This was a retreat. What stings most? This wasn't a heavy documentary or explosive tell-all. It was cooking, harmless, safe. If even this couldn't survive under Meghan's creative direction, what does that say about the rest of her content slate? And more importantly, how do you reframe that kind of failure when the entire premise was just be yourself? Meghan, according to reports, has always been deeply involved in the optics of every project she touches. From wardrobe to lighting to camera angles, she's reportedly hands-on to a degree that some producers find stifling. She wants control over the vulnerability, one person said. She wants to appear authentic, but only if she can curate what that looks like. And that's the paradox that may have finally caught up with her, because in trying so hard to control her image, she may have exposed the very thing audiences and executives are tired of, the performance. This isn't just about a single canceled show anymore. It's about a pattern, a string of flops, misfires, and image-first projects that have left Netflix execs reportedly wondering if Meghan Markle is more liability than asset.
Meghan Markle, the only thing she found was a rich, famous husband.
The nearest thing Meghan Markle ever had to a billion-dollar idea was marrying a prince.
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
The streaming giant once touted their multi-year deal with the Sussexes as a groundbreaking partnership, a coup that would bring prestige, exclusivity, and a flood of compelling content. But now, nearly 4 years later, the enthusiasm has curdled into caution. Let's take stock. The Harry and Meghan docuseries may have broken initial viewing records, but it also drew intense backlash for its tone, its editing, and its repetition of grievances already aired elsewhere. The Spotify deal terminated, publicly, and not with a thank you note, but with execs making it clear they weren't impressed. And now, this cooking show, the easiest, safest, most audience-friendly project Meghan could have led, has reportedly been shelved, quietly and indefinitely. Insiders say the mood at Netflix has changed. In the beginning, everything they pitched was greenlit with enthusiasm, one executive allegedly told a British outlet. But now, there's hesitation, there's scrutiny. Another Netflix source described internal meetings as being filled with phrases like brand fatigue, low engagement, and PR over substance. Translation, Meghan might be famous, but she's not clicking. And let's not forget the money. The Sussex deal was reportedly worth over $100 million. But outside of one explosive docuseries and a handful of development rumors, there's been very little return. Executives are now reportedly reviewing all Sussex-related projects with a sharper lens. What's moving forward, what's stalled, and who's really tuning in? The cooking show may have been the first public casualty, but it likely won't be the last. Because when you're costing more than you're delivering, and the buzz around your name is becoming more eye-roll than red carpet, no amount of Duchess branding can protect the bottom line.
40 minutes into the podcast, this little picture, quite a grainy picture, flashed up, which shows a basket of, homemade preserves with a card on it, HRH, Duchess of Sussex, Meghan.
I find it a little bit cringe to give a gift to a close friend and sign it Her Royal Highness.
Why even in private? She's using that full title, Her Royal Highness.
I would never refer to myself as Her Royal Highness.
If the failed cooking show was supposed to be Meghan's wholesome answer to years of royal drama, her lifestyle brand was clearly meant to be her business empire's crown jewel. But instead of a sleek, goop-style ascent, it's turning into a cautionary tale about what happens when curated aesthetics meet questionable substance. From overpriced product drops to fulfillment issues and customer complaints, the cracks are becoming too visible to ignore. Insiders say Meghan envisioned the brand as a celebration of intentional living, minimalist packaging, wellness-forward messaging, and premium price tags to match. But what she delivered, according to frustrated buyers online, was Pinterest branding wrapped around Etsy-grade product logistics. Orders arrived late. Some arrived incomplete. Others never arrived at all. And when customers reached out for refunds or support, they reportedly got vague responses or generic apologies citing scaling challenges. One TikTok reviewer who ordered a $68 tea sampler said it arrived weeks late, missing 2 items, and included a card that looked like it had been printed at a hotel business center. "I expected elegance," she said. "What I got was a customer service nightmare with royal font." But the real issue isn't just product delays. It's the pricing. Cookie cutters for $70. Chalkboard menu boards for nearly $50. Everything dipped in Meghan's signature neutral tones, with marketing copy that leaned heavy on buzzwords like mindfulness, nourishment, and quiet elegance.
They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm gonna put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends.
Critics called it goop without the credibility, branding without the soul. And then came the murmurs that even influencers were quietly backing away. Promos promised by micro-celebrities were never posted. Gifted boxes were returned unopened. One brand consultant alleged that even retail partners began expressing concern about public perception. People don't trust it, they said. It feels like a marketing funnel, not a lifestyle. Which brings us back to Netflix. If her personal brand is now seen as more performance than passion, why would a streaming giant bet millions more on projects tied to it? The trust isn't just eroding, it's evaporating. If the lifestyle brand collapse was the business red flag, then Meghan's podcast Meltdown was the emotional one. And according to critics, it backfired spectacularly. Pitched as her most vulnerable, unfiltered moment since leaving royal life, the debut of her new podcast was meant to remind audiences that Meghan was more than a duchess or a media figure. She was human, relatable, real. But from the moment it aired, the reaction was overwhelmingly skeptical. Let's start with the tears. Framed as an intimate breakdown about motherhood, identity, and pressure, the episode included Meghan crying softly while discussing her struggles. But instead of drawing empathy, listeners and viewers took to social media with one resounding message: it all felt too polished. Her breakdown had better lighting than my engagement photos, one tweet read. Another viral TikTok said, "She cries like she's auditioning for a Netflix drama, and she still doesn't get the part." Critics argued that everything about the episode, her voice, the pacing, even the pauses, felt scripted.
She married for money. It's very clear she bagged the elephant. She was thrilled she became a, quote, princess.
The no makeup claim was especially mocked, with users pointing out her perfect blowout and softly contoured cheekbones. No makeup? Girl, that's a $400 facial with a PR filter, said one commenter. But perhaps the most damning observation came from former fans, who once defended Meghan against palace cruelty and press intrusion. Even they are beginning to admit it's getting harder to believe her when every unscripted moment feels choreographed. One listener commented, "She talks about authenticity the way influencers talk about body positivity, while face-tuning their knees." And her guest, Jamie Kern Lima, founder of a billion-dollar beauty brand, offered no challenge, just constant affirmations. It wasn't a conversation, it was a feedback loop of validation. Meghan could have read her own press release and still been praised for being brave. Instead of rebuilding trust, the podcast added more fuel to the narrative that Meghan's raw moments are as manufactured as her product launches. And for Netflix, that's a branding disaster, because you can't market someone as emotionally compelling when the audience no longer believes the emotions are real. Behind the Hollywood curtains, something even more telling is happening. Meghan Markle is reportedly being ghosted. Not by ex-friends or tabloids this time, but by the very machine that once fought to platform her. According to industry insiders, Meghan is experiencing what many are calling a soft freeze-out. It's quiet, it's polite, but it's unmistakable. Meetings are getting postponed. Emails are being forwarded instead of answered. Former collaborators who once tripped over themselves to align with the Duchess are now, reportedly, keeping their distance. One studio rep described the shift this way: "People still smile in public, but behind the scenes, her name doesn't carry the same heat anymore. It carries risk." Producers who were once eager to attach themselves to Sussex-branded content are allegedly taking longer to greenlight scripts. Talent agencies are said to be more hesitant about representing or repping Meghan-driven projects unless a big platform is already backing it. And even some podcast guests who were rumored to be lined up for season 2 are reportedly non-committal about returning.
I don't like her. That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
Everybody who works for her quits. Everybody says she's a bully. She's very nasty.
This isn't cancellation, it's attrition. No one wants to be first to say she's over, but no one wants to be last to admit it either. That's how momentum dies in Hollywood, not with a dramatic headline, but with polite silence and passive scheduling conflicts. Even social media tells the story. Fewer celebrity cross-promotion posts, fewer public shoutouts. Some influencers who were once gifted Meghan-branded baskets are allegedly declining to post photos. One PR consultant noted, "People are afraid that aligning too closely could drag their image into the same overproduced, inauthentic narrative. And for someone whose entire media persona is built on connection, relatability, and message-driven storytelling, that's lethal. Because when the industry stops engaging with your story, it's not just a missed opportunity, it's a signal. The page is turning, and Meghan may not be in the next chapter. If you thought the Meghan Markle brand was in recovery mode, think again. Just when the dust from the cooking show fiasco began to settle, she's been caught in a new round of royal title controversy, and this one might be the final blow to her authentic narrative. According to multiple sources and eagle-eyed fans, Meghan has continued to use the HRH styling, Her Royal Highness, in private branding and correspondence, despite publicly renouncing it after leaving royal duties in 2020. The most damning clue? A gift basket. Sent to a lifestyle influencer, the basket included handmade preserves, a personalized thank you card, and in fine regal font, with love, HRH, the Duchess of Sussex. It was subtle, stylish, and according to royal watchers, completely out of bounds. Social media exploded. "She's not allowed to use that," one royal expert tweeted. "It's like quitting your job but still signing company emails with the CEO title." Another user posted a screen cap of the card alongside Meghan's Oprah interview quotes. "We just wanted a normal life." The comment? Sure, with a monogrammed crown. Even her defenders were rattled.
She's trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea for the rest of the family.
This doesn't help her case, one fan admitted on Reddit. She can't brand herself as a civilian and still dip into the royal well when it's convenient. Palace sources have remained officially silent. But one anonymous aide told a UK tabloid, "It's hard to take her independence seriously when she's still clinging to the title she walked away from." And for Netflix, it's another layer of contradiction they now have to navigate. How do you sell someone as grounded and authentic when their jam jars come with royal calligraphy? This isn't a scandal, it's a symptom. Meghan's public message is all about stepping away from the crown, but her private branding suggests she never really let it go. So now we're left with one question. Is this the beginning of the end for Meghan Markle's Hollywood era? The canceled cooking show, the podcast backlash, the botched lifestyle brand, the royal title controversy, the frozen calls, the eye-roll-inducing summit speeches. All of it points to one uncomfortable truth. The glossy media fantasy she tried to build may finally be collapsing under its own weight. This Netflix deal was supposed to be the crown jewel, not just for Meghan, but for the Sussexes' entire post-royal identity. They weren't just escaping the palace. They were redefining themselves as cultural voices, content creators, and entrepreneurs. But 4 years in, they've delivered more drama than deliverables. And now, with Meghan's Relatable cooking series shelved, Netflix executives are reportedly reassessing everything. One insider allegedly said, "If the easy projects are failing, what's left?" It's not that Meghan doesn't have talent or ambition, it's that her brand seems allergic to real vulnerability. Every time she tries to connect, it feels like performance. Every time she says she wants to be seen, she controls the lighting. Every time she preaches authenticity, she does it with a teleprompter voice and a stylist off camera. And here's what makes it worse. Audiences have caught on. They've stopped giving her the benefit of the doubt. They're not just tired, they're done. Meghan is no longer the brave outsider challenging the monarchy. She's become the over-packaged insider selling relatability like a scented candle. For Netflix, and maybe Hollywood in general, that's a serious problem, because you can't build a media empire on scripted vulnerability. You can't monetize authenticity when no one believes you mean it. And if this show's cancellation is any indication, the Meghan Markle experiment in media may be reaching its final act. But what do you think? Is Meghan being unfairly targeted? Or has her brand finally run out of smoke and mirrors? Can she recover? Or is this the moment the curtain finally falls? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.